Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to the 9 p.m. live English news edition, the top stories. The Prime Minister visited the prefecture to collect his electoral card. The inauguration of the Women's Empowerment Center in Dikhil. For the international news, the US authorizes Johnson & Johnson's vaccine. Hello, welcome again. Welcome to our newsroom for having the news in details. Prime Minister, His Excellency Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed received this afternoon for a courtesy visit the new ambassador of the United States of America, Mr. Jonathan Pratt. The Prime Minister, surrounded by his Chief of Staff, Ali Silai, welcomed Jonathan Pratt, who will represent the United States of America and promised his support and facilitate for the accomplishment of his diplomatic missions to strengthen relations between Djibouti and the United States. The Prime Minister welcomed the quality of friendly relations and cooperation between the Republic of Djibouti and the United States, bilateral relations that raise the partnership between the two countries at a highly strategic level. Ambassador Jonathan thanked the former for his welcome and stressed the quality of relations between the United States and the Republic of Djibouti and expressed the gratitude of U.S. citizens to Djibouti for hosting the U.S. base on its soil. He expressed his determination to provide the maximum effort to advance the common goals of security, prosperity, and development to advance the strategic partnership between the United States and Djibouti. The new U.S. ambassador expressed his intention to strengthen the achievement of greater economic and commercial exchange between the two countries and peoples. The new U.S. ambassador, Jonathan, is a career diplomat who has served as a diplomat in many Asian, African, and Arab countries before coming to Djibouti, recipient of the State Department's Director General's Award for Reportage and Parmesan Excellence Award. Clement Dunn, who holds a master's degree from the University of California at San Diego, speaks Mandarin, Chinese, Arabic, French, Portuguese, and Spanish. He's married to another Foreign Service officer, Bridget Lyons. The Prime Minister, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, visited the government of Djibouti this morning in the Mayor District, where he was received by the Mr. Osman. The Prime Minister visit was an opportunity for the minister to withdraw his electoral card in order to carry out his national mission. During the visit, the Prime Minister was accompanied by his closest collaborators because this step was important to show the importance of the withdrawal of the electoral card. The President of the Republic, Mr. Ismail Margele, asked citizens to withdraw their electoral card in order to fulfill their national duty. Now, Interior Minister Mr. Mumin Ahmed Sheikh made a statement on national television discussing the dates of the upcoming presidential election. Let's listen to the minister.
Je voudrais informer la population djiboutienne que les préparatifs des élections présidentielles du 9 avril vont bientôt commencer.
The dates of the next presidential elections are set for Friday, April 9, 2021 for the first round. In the event of a second round, voting will take place on Friday, April 23, 2021. In the second ballot, only the two candidates who would have obtained the most votes will be re-elected. Withdrawal of voting cards. The distribution of electoral maps began on Thursday, February 25, 2021 throughout the national territory and will continue until April 8, 2021 at 6 p.m. I asked the population not to wait until the last days to collect the cards. I also ask you to keep these voter cards for the next electoral deadlines, namely regional and communal legislative. Application form. The application period is 10 days. It begins on Monday, March 1, 2021 and will end on Wednesday, March 10, 2021 at noon. Beginning of the campaign. The electoral campaign will begin on Friday, March 25, 2021 and will end on Wednesday, April 7, 2021 at midnight.
As part of the preparation of the Women's Week, the Ministry of Women, Family, in collaboration with the UNFD, proceeded this morning to the inauguration of the Women's Empowerment Center in Dikhil. The center aims at empowering women. The different offices of the center are Gender Office, Social Worker Office, and UNFD Office. At this important inauguration event, the Vice President of the UNFD, Mrs. Hasna Ahmed Bil, the General Secretary of UNFD, Mrs. Fatima Musa, the women parliamentarians of the region, Mrs. Aisha Habib, Nouri Wabari, the Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity, His Excellency Mrs. Mona Osman, Prefect of the region, the President of the Regional Council. To close the day, the whole delegation had a meeting with women's groups, a kit, solar bag, a radio, sewing machine. For the three sub-prefecture of Dikhil office, equipment has been granted for associations. In a speech by the General Secretary of the National Union of Women of Djibouti, and I quote, "The purpose of the visit is to inaugurate this center for the benefit of women with the aim of empowering them," and expressed that on behalf of the First Lady of Djibouti, the President of the National Union of Djiboutian Women, Mrs. Khadra Mahmoud Haid, who confirmed her support for the benefit of women in the income region by providing this central and hoped that this center will play an important role in supporting women. The Ministry of Social Affairs and Solidarity said that the party of the Popular Life for Progress, led by the President of the Republic, is preparing to run in the next election, so you must be ahead in this election race. Now, the Ministry of Women and Family also spoke about the role of women in promoting the country's development programs. After the inauguration of the Empowerment Center, the delegation continues their journey to meet all the women of the community of Dikhil at the Dikhil Hut for a talk of maintenance and presentation of the Women's Empowerment Center. Honoring their legendary hospitality, the women's groups extended a warm welcome to the distinguished guest. The exchanges, both in public and in private, were fruitful. The actors played fair, and the most important topics were discussed: empowerment and access to basic public services for women and family. In addition, 10 of the most vulnerable women in Dikhil benefited from an envelope to create income-generating activities. Another news now, a ceremony to celebrate the 125th anniversary of the victory of Adola was organized on Saturday, February 27th at the Kempinski Palace Hotel for the Embassy of the Federal Democratic Republic of Ethiopia. The victory of Adola symbolizes the victory won by Ethiopia against Italy in 1896, guaranteeing Ethiopian sovereignty. It is also considered the first black victory against the colonizing force on the African continent. This war undoubtedly inspired other freedom fighters on the African continent to fight for independence. Hosted by the Ethiopian ambassador, Mr. Berhanu, the ceremony took place in the presence of the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mohammed Ali Yusuf, the Palestinian ambassador, Mr. Kamel Abdullah, and various other representatives of international organizations. The event was marked by a cultural and traditional Ethiopian atmosphere, music and dance, and some sketch. Finally, the guest of honor delivered speech, including that of the Palestinian ambassador, who wished a happy birthday to his Ethiopian brothers by recalling the importance of this victory. In a word by the Ethiopian ambassador to Djibouti, Mr. Berhanu praised the importance of this day and said, as we all know, I quote, Ethiopia is a rich country, historically and culturally rich. Ethiopia is a true jewel in Africa with a civilization. It ensured the victory of the enemy of our country's independence and the independence of Africa while the country was in a state of complete division by the colonial forces of Europe. We always celebrate Adoa's victory not only by commemorating the victories of the past but also by discovering the past and the future. What makes the celebration of this year special is the fact that the Djibouti-Ethiopia Railway celebrated its 25th anniversary and the construction of roads, railways, energy, drinking water supply, trade, tourism and communication. In turn, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation thanked the official spokesman of the government, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, thanked the Ethiopian ambassador, Mr. Berhanu, for the good organization of this occasion. Let's listen to him.
Thank you, Ambassador, for inviting us to celebrate with you and the Ethiopian community in Djibouti the 125th anniversary of the Battle of Adwa of 1896. It has enshrined forever in history books and in our memory that Ethiopia has never been colonized and never will it be. The Adwa battle has demonstrated the courageous nature of the Ethiopian people and unequivocally highlighted that the will of the people is stronger than any powerful artillery and modern military equipment. That was the case in 1896, when the Ethiopians were fighting one of the most powerful colonial power at that time. What an inspiring milestone event. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me seize this opportunity to congratulate the Ethiopian people and the Ethiopian government on this auspicious occasion. I also have the opportunity tonight to underline the solid and multifaceted partnership that Djibouti and Ethiopia continue to promote for decades now in the best interest of our two peoples. Global challenges will never be overcome with local solutions. It is common sense. Once again, congratulations and thank you for having us tonight.
The Chamber of Commerce President received at its headquarters a delegation of South Sudanese Chamber of Commerce erected by their first Vice President, Mr. Rosidik Lukak, accompanied by his close collaborators. Indeed, a long discussion on the ways and means to improve their partnership, in particular to the import-exports, were evoked. During this day, the delegation were able to enjoy a video projection while exposing the extension, the opportunities available to the port DMP, including Djibouti Airlines, Djibouti Aviation. The president of the Chamber of Commerce wished the welcome and that they will not be disappointed with their trip following the multiple performance of the port and already equipped with the latest generation equipment. And to close this day, the two parties have signed partnership agreements. As part of the project training of young entrepreneurs, the Djiboutian Agency for Social Development, in partnership with the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship, organizes in the auditorium of the later the competition for the best business plan for the first beneficiary of the program. 279 young people from the commune of Bulaus have been trained in entrepreneurship and life skills in the 9 CDC of the commune of Bulaus and the UNFD Training Center. These young people have developed during their training 83 business plans with which they compete today. The objective of this project is to improve the accessibility of young people and women to income and job creation opportunities through training, financial support, and local assistance for the implementation and sustainability of their income-generating activities. The support offered to these young people is to provide training in entrepreneurship and life skills on the design and implementation of an income-generating activity of a very small enterprises and a small and medium enterprise for 3,000 young people in the business plan competition and financing of the 500 best projects. Another news now, as part of a caravan of solidarity, the Rotary Club of Djibouti distributed Thursday a large batch of donation consisting of blankets, food, school supplies, of baby diapers and food for the vulnerable households in the locality of Gubeto in the region of Ali Sabeh. The primary objective is to support the poor people of this locality in this winter period. This award ceremony was attended by the deputy of the locality of Gubeto, Asha Kayat. In fact, many households in the town of Gubeto benefited from this food distribution, composed of blanket, food, and several other supplies. The representative of the population and the sub-prefecture have appreciated its true value and thanked in turn the Rotary Club for their trip to give them this important lot of donation, and they did not fail to thank the parliamentarian Asha Kayad, native of Gubeto, who traveled to their homes to inquire about their situation and applauded the action of the parliamentarian and encouraged him to continue this kind of intervention with the needy population. Mrs. Ferdousa Musa Ige was re-elected as the head of the Federation for a new term. The work of the elective General Assembly of the Djiboutian Taekwondo Federation took place Saturday, February 27, 2021 morning in the conference room of the Olympic Committee. This work was successful on all fronts and all items on the agenda were adopted by the delegates. The club delegates unanimously reappointed Mrs. Ferdousa Musa Ige as head of the Federation for a new 4-year term. Moving on to international news, the Johnson & Johnson's vaccine has received approval from the Federal Drug Administration. The first doses will be available for distribution this week. This is the third vaccine to be licensed in the country. The announcement was quickly welcomed by the U.S. President. In a press release, Joe Biden speaks of light at the end of the tunnel. This is great news for all Americans and a step forward in our efforts to end this crisis, writes the President. The approval of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine is expected to accelerate the path of immunization in the United States. The vaccine requires only a single dose, and storage and transportation requirements are less stringent than for Pfizer and Moderna vaccines. Now that the drug agency has made its decision, Johnson & Johnson has announced that 4 million doses are ready for distribution. The company has also committed to produce 20 million doses of vaccine by the end of March and 100 million doses in June. This is it for this edition of 9 p.m. Thank you for watching us and have a wonderful evening.